I would like to introduce to you Marlene van Ballegooie and Jennifer Browning from the University of Toronto Libraries. Marlene Ballegooie is the Metadata Technologies Manager. She is responsible for providing access to electronic resources, the maintenance of ILS metadata, and automated metadata generation. Her primary research interests include e-data quality, electronic resource management systems, linked data, and metadata interoperability. She received her Master's of Information Studies degree from the Faculty of Information Studies, University of Toronto. Jennifer Browning is the Metadata Librarian for Electronic Resources. She is responsible for the metadata management and access provision of electronic resources for the University of Toronto Library System. Her research and work interests include metadata and user communities, authority control within linked data contexts, ERM workflows, and mentorship and workplace integrated learning for students. She received her Master of Library and Information Science degree from Western University in London, Ontario.
Hello. Thank you all of you for coming to our session today. So today, Jennifer and I, we'd like to share our experience in using the NASIG Core Competencies as a framework for training our students in the Toronto Academic Libraries Internship program, which is affectionately known as the TALint Program. So over the course of the next hour, we're going to aim to cover the following topics. We're going to introduce the primary partners in the TALint Internship program. We're going to outline the key goals and objectives of the TALint program. And then we'll share our experience of how the NASIG core competencies can support the training of student employees, and we'll illustrate how each of the core competencies can be integrated into the daily work and projects performed by our students. From there, we'll discuss what we see as the primary benefits of using the NASIG core competencies for the TALint program. And then finally, we'll round out our session by talking about what we see as the next steps for the TALint program, both within our unit and more broadly within our library. So before we jump in and describe the TALint program, we thought it would be helpful to set the context and introduce the main partners that are involved in the program's establishment, as well as its ongoing support and management. The TALint program is firmly based on principles of workplace integrated learning, and as such, there are three main players involved that make the program work. We have the employer, we have the academic institution, and of course, our student employees. So in our case, the employer is the University of Toronto Libraries, or UTL for short. And UTL is situated within the University of Toronto, which is Canada's largest research-intensive university. The University of Toronto has approximately 88,000 students in total, with close to 71,000 undergraduate students and just over 18,000 graduate students. Additionally, the university has over 14,000 faculty members that support the teaching and research requirements of our 215 graduate programs, over 60 professional programs, and more than 700 undergraduate degree programs that are offered by the university. Now, the University of Toronto Library System is the largest academic library system in Canada, and it is consistently ranked among the top 10 research libraries in North America. And the system consists of 44 libraries located across 3 campuses. And to support the needs of our faculty and student populations, the libraries currently employs approximately 500 librarians and support staff. Now, Jennifer and I are part of the Metadata Technologies unit, which is situated within the Collections and Materials Management portfolio of the Central Library System. And although our unit is quite small, we play a significant role in serving the library and our user populations. In our unit, we have several key responsibilities. So we provide access to electronic resources. We conduct batch loads and global changes to bibliographic records of all formats. We run complex reports for library staff to support their work. And we provide metadata support for IT and other librarians. We enhance resource discovery and improve access to collections through metadata remediation. Our unit takes on a lead role in exploring new metadata standards, such as linked data. And currently, we're involved in facilitating the selection and implementation of a new library system. So as you can see, we are a very small but mighty unit and with a very diverse set of responsibilities. Now, in addition to the employer, another main player in the TALint program is the Faculty of Information iSchool. Now, the iSchool is a graduate school that offers degree programs such as the Masters of Information, the Masters of Museum Studies, and a PhD in Information Studies, as well as several diploma programs. Now, the iSchool currently offers concentrations in Library and Information Science, Archives and Records Management, Information Systems and Design, Critical Information Policy Studies, Culture and Technology, Knowledge Management and Information Management, and most recently, User Experience Design. Now, the iSchool currently has an enrollment of over 560 graduate students in both the master's and PhD programs. So the final players in our workplace integrated learning scenario, and arguably the stars of the show, are the students themselves. And in our case, we have 2 student interns who've just completed their first year of study at the iSchool. Now, Sarah is our student intern who's working towards an MI degree with a concentration in Information Systems and Design. And we have Jordan, who's working towards an MI degree in Library and Information Science concentration. And I'd be remiss to mention that we are very lucky to have Jordan in our audience today, as she is one of the recipients of the John Riddick Student Grants. Congratulations, Jordan. It is so wonderful to have you here. So now that we know that the key players that are involved in the TALint program, I just want to speak a little bit more about the program itself. The Toronto Academic Libraries Internship program, it began in the fall of 2014 as a partnership between the University of Toronto iSchool and the University of Toronto Libraries. And the primary purpose of the program is to offer Masters of Information students an enhanced educational experience by combining the theory of the classroom with practical workplace experiences. By providing students with hands-on experience in a real workplace setting, the program effectively bridges the gap between graduate education and professional practices of librarianship. And as such, the program supports the goal of preparing students for professional roles within an increasingly complex information environment. The TALint program is open to students who have achieved a minimum A- grade average in their undergraduate program of study, and students are typically offered a position prior to starting their program at the iSchool. All students go through a competitive interview process to ensure that they're placed in an area of the library that best suits their talents and interests. And successful applicants are offered a 2-year placement, working 15 hours per week. So unlike other student positions, which are often very much sessional in nature, TALint students are with us for the entire duration of their graduate program. Now, in terms of numbers, the library system, we currently support 30 TALint interns annually. Now, as I mentioned previously, the TALint program is very much intentionally based on the principles of workplace integrated learning. It's an active partnership between the student, the employer, and the academic institution, with each party contributing to the success of the experience. Now, workplace integrated learning opportunities often go by a variety of names, such as internships, co-ops, practicums, etc. But they all try to achieve the same goals. These programs are designed to give students opportunities to experience the workplace before they graduate, acquire and develop relevant skills, professional abilities, and attitudes, and they allow students to apply their knowledge and skills within a real workplace setting. Workplace integrated learning is a key strategy in improving the employability of new graduates, and it aims to ease the students' transition to the workplace. So how do we try to accomplish the goal of workplace integrated learning within the context of the TALint program? What are some of the key goals of the program? Well, first and foremost, the aim of the program is to focus on preparation for future employment. Within libraries, students are often viewed as a labor reserve for lower level, sometimes monotonous, repetitive, and tedious tasks. But within the TALint program, we aim to focus the student work on tasks that lead to skill development and provide students with an understanding of what librarians do. In addition to the ongoing and special projects that we assign to students, we also encourage them to attend staff meetings, library interest groups, and other gatherings so that they observe real-life workplace activities and behavior and truly experience the library workplace as a librarian. Professional development is also a component of the TALint program. The students are actively encouraged to attend webinars, presentations, and workshops that are related to their work. And finally, as supervisors of TALint students, we're expected to be mentors for our students. And mentorship involves providing advice to students in areas such as course selection, professional development, and research. It also involves connecting students to other professional librarians so that they can broaden their knowledge of what different roles within the library entail. And finally, mentorship also includes the more subtle activity of promoting professional behavior. By setting examples of librarian conduct, students hopefully pick up these behavior through exposure. Now, in 2017, the first students formally joined our Metadata Technologies unit, and these students were hired with the intention that they would assist the unit in providing access to electronic resources and troubleshooting e-resource access problems. Now, the prospect of gaining TALint students in our department was very, very much attractive to us, not only because it would mean that we have additional hands on deck, but also because it meant that we could be actively involved in developing librarian talent. Previous recruitments for more technically oriented positions at the librarian level have been very challenging for us, and we saw this opportunity as a way to equip future librarians with the skills that we require within our unit. So prior to the students' arrival, much thought was put into the programming for these positions. And we thought to ourselves, how can we achieve the goals and objectives of the TALint program and give students the best experience possible? And also, how can we offer a workplace integrated learning opportunity in both a structured and holistic way? And then the answer came to us. Why not use the NASIG Core Competencies for Electronic Resources Librarians as a framework for student training? We had heard about the use of the core competencies to support skills development among e-resource librarians at all stages of their careers. Why not use it to structure a training plan for those who are about to enter the profession? Now, many of you will be very much familiar with the NASIG Core Competencies. It is a document that describes core competencies for serials and electronic resources librarians. And it's intended for such purposes as developing curriculum, describing electronic resource management positions and job ads, and most importantly, to provide guidance for skills development and professional assessment in this specialized area. The core competencies were developed based on research conducted by the NASIG Core Competencies Task Force and its members. The competencies were intentionally broad in scope in order to encompass work with e-resources throughout the entire e-resource lifecycle. And additionally, the competencies were intended to build upon and be used in combination with the American Library Association's core competencies of librarianship. Now, the NASIG core competencies are broken down into 7 key components. So first, we have the Lifecycle of electronic resources, which contains competencies related to the full e-resource lifecycle through its multiple stages and processes. There's a section on technology, which includes competencies related to the hardware, software, data structures, and protocols that underpin the provision of access to electronic resources. There's a section on research and assessment, which includes competencies related to a variety of data that is generated by and related to electronic resources and how this data can be used to make collection assessment decisions. There's a section on effective communication, which includes competencies related to communicating with peers and parties outside of the organization and being able to relay complex information in an easily understandable way. Section on supervising and management, which includes competencies that illustrate the capability to supervise, train, and motivate staff. There's trends and professional development is another area which highlights competencies related to the need to maintain knowledge of current issues and trends in electronic resource management. And then finally, we have a section on personal qualities, which includes competencies related to time management, customer service, and the ability to cope with the ambiguity that often surrounds electronic resources. So now that we know the context and have a general understanding of the TALint program and the NASIG core competencies, I'm just now going to hand it over to Jen, who will talk about how the core competencies supports our workplace integrated learning program at the University of Toronto Libraries.
Thank you, Marlene. So as she mentioned, I'll begin to review how the use of NASIG's core competencies support workplace integrated learning, and also provide some examples of how we've integrated the core competencies into the students' training plan and their work assignments. So our TALint students were introduced to NASIG's core competencies at the outset of their orientation, with the intention that they would use it as an organic tool for documenting their development over the course of their internship. Use of the competencies allowed the students to obtain a picture of the typical range of duties that e-resource librarians generally perform, as well as the scope of knowledge in this field of librarianship. The key components of the competencies also help to establish expectations for the type of work that the students might encounter in the coming months. Additionally, the incorporation of the core competencies into their daily work nicely complement other workplace integrated learning activities already implemented by the TALint program, such as the use of a learning agenda. So when beginning the TALint program, all students are asked to develop a learning agenda, which helps to scope professional learning goals and objectives, including both technical and soft skills. This document is developed with their workplace supervisor and can be used as a point of focus for TALint student supervisors to provide additional training and instruction in order to help their students meet their goals. So on its own, the learning agenda is intended to be used as a tool to measure progress and self-reflection, as students document their goals and how they aim to achieve them, and the outcomes and measures of their success. Within the TALint program, it's up to the student and the supervisor on how extensively and when the learning agenda will be integrated into their daily work and their continued learning. But Marlene and I thought that the students' learning agendas could be used as a good launching point for developing a more structured work plan through the use of the core competency document. So our team uses an internal wiki to document projects and procedures. And we thought it would make actually perfect sense to incorporate the core competencies within a personal space within this wiki that the students could use as a documentation tool. Each space was made public only to each individual student, as well as Marlene and I, which we hoped would allow the students to more freely reflect on their goals, their interests, and learning progress as they complete certain areas of the competencies. So to prepare the wiki space, we first connected each competency to relevant resources such as journal articles and PowerPoint slides or webinars in order to provide easy access to background information on various topics related to e-resource librarianship. By using a dynamic wiki that we could actively connect to a particular competency, to a certain work function or task, the students can identify how their work relates to the core competencies and also reflect upon what they have learned by completing the task. So this slide here is an example of the wiki and how we've incorporated the core competencies into a dynamic workspace for outlining tasks and prompting reflection. To the left is the core competency as it appears in the NASIG document. We've then added a space for resources, such as webinars, articles, and internal documents that help to provide background on the specific competency. And next to that is a space where either the student or Marlene and I can add in specific tasks or learning activities that can help support the fulfillment of the competency. And lastly is a space where the student can reflect on the outcomes after engaging with that competency. So in this particular example here, our student Sarah, in the third column, was reporting about how a course that she took recently relates to the e-resource lifecycle. So the strategy to use the core competencies as an organic document helps to satisfy some of the major objectives behind workplace integrated learning, particularly as the students identify areas that perhaps require more development, and certainly as they're encouraged to reflect on particular tasks and what they've learned along the way. So now I'll provide some examples of how we're working towards meeting each component of the competency by assigning particular tasks and providing additional training and development activities. So the first component, as Marlene mentioned, was the life cycle of electronic resources, which is a fundamental aspect to e-resource librarianship, as it focuses on the various sequential stages that factor into e-resource management, from initial acquisition, access provision, and their ongoing maintenance. The students were immediately trained on tasks that relate to this component, and were assigned tasks such as activating and managing e-resources in the knowledge base, obtaining and augmenting vendor MARC records, as well as troubleshooting electronic resource access issues. And these tasks have become a regular part of their workday now. Additionally, Sarah and Jordan have had the opportunity to do some supplementary reading on the topic. They've also participated in workplace meetings and discussions, and they work closely with another area of e-resource management in the library, which is the Electronic Resource Acquisitions team. So certainly another important component within the core competencies is the use of technology and the various systems and tools that we use in technical services to manage e-resources. We've trained Sarah and Jordan on various systems and programs that we use regularly at the University of Toronto Libraries, including our CIRCE ILS, the ERM systems, MarcEdit, and Z3950, as well as the use of MySQL for advanced querying and data maintenance and cleanup. Additionally, we've invited Sarah and Jordan to sessions and webinars involving LSPs, linked data, technology-related work performed outside our unit, such as easy proxy administration. Hands-on and regular exposure to such systems and technologies and their related jargon will better equip them for whatever systems they may end up working with once they start their professional careers. So in terms of developing research and assessment competencies, we've integrated learning in these areas by assigning both independent and cooperative projects that are complex and detail-oriented to develop critical assessment, problem-solving, and decision-making skills. We've also encouraged reciprocal knowledge sharing by having Sarah and Jordan share outcomes of class projects that they've completed. We believe it's very important to foster opportunities where a student can become the teacher, as a means of staying attuned to the various topics and trends within e-resource management and academic librarianship more broadly. As mentioned, we've established a good sense of knowledge sharing and open discussion within our team. In terms of addressing effective communication as a core competency component, we encourage the students to create documentation and procedures in our team's wiki space, and we support a hospitable workplace with an open door policy where Sarah and Jordan can feel comfortable to discuss and consult with us outside of formal meetings. There's also been communication efforts that Sarah and Jordan can not only document on their core competency wiki, but also on their CVs. Last semester, they developed and facilitated a MarcEdit workshop for cataloging staff. And they've also had the opportunity to present at conferences and a library-wide town hall meeting. And actually, Jordan will be presenting later on today in the student session. Indeed, providing avenues to develop various communication skills bolsters those ever-important soft skills that can be hard to come by in librarian candidates. As Sarah and Jordan enter their second year of their master's program, they'll be given the opportunity to take the lead as a project manager for a discrete project, where they can develop management strategies, as well as assist in the orientation and training of new members in our team. Both students will be taking a project management course as part of their master's program this year. So we'll encourage them to use the tools and techniques taught in this course when planning and implementing their projects. We all recognize the importance of keeping up with our professional skills and knowledge well after we graduate school. So much of what we learn come from both formal and informal channels, like internal meetings and discussions, attending conferences, subscribing to listservs, and so on. So we felt it was important to expose Sarah and Jordan to these professional development spaces in order to gain awareness to the various trends and initiatives that are important to e-resource librarianship. By attending staff and committee meetings and through exposure to externally focused developments like the Canadian Linked Data Initiative meetings, as well as opportunities for job shadowing and meetings with other areas of the library, our students are gaining a fulsome picture of the profession and the types of things that they will likely be focusing on when they're in their respective professional workplaces. By fostering a sense of continuous learning, we hope our students will remain engaged and relevant in the professional workplace. And lastly, by engaging with the core competencies and their learning paths through the use of our Wiki, we are finding that both students are developing important personal qualities that are compatible with e-resource librarianship. As they reflect on the tasks they've performed so far, we can already see that the students are able to develop a tolerance for the inherent complexity and ambiguity of e-resource management. They can recognize that technical services is indeed a public service. They can build a sense of flexibility, time management skills, and accountability. And they can attain an aptitude for work that is both independent and collaborative. Again, the importance of building those soft skills alongside the technical and practical capacities are critical to the development of a well-rounded and highly employable librarian. So with that, Marlene will now focus on some of the key benefits that we found after incorporating the core competencies into the TALint student program.
Thanks, Jen. So although we've only been using the core competencies as a framework for training for one academic year, we can already see many of the benefits that have been passed on to our students. And one of the key benefits of the program, as with other workplace integrated learning experiences, is that it helps to promote employability. Now, employability is conceptualized as the skills and personal attributes considered important by an industry and needed by graduates in order to secure employment. But as Jen has mentioned, the notion of employability goes beyond the technical skills and attributes related to a profession. It also includes personal attributes such as the ability to work in a team, professional judgment, effective communication, and problem-solving ability. Now, we feel that the NASIG core competencies provide structure for developing both the technical and the soft skills that are required to be successful as an electronic resources librarian. And as such, it provides the scaffolding that is needed to develop employability in our graduate students and enhance their employment prospects. Now, in preparation for this presentation, we asked our students how prepared they feel for entering the professional workplace. In response to this question, our student Sarah stated quite emphatically, "I already feel like I've entered the professional workplace." And she acknowledged that prior to the workplace experience, she did not have a clear vision of where she wanted to go in the future. But she states, and I quote, "After 1 year of this internship, I have a strong sense of where to begin searching for future jobs and how to build on the skills that I have." Similarly, Jordan noted that she feels very prepared for the professional workplace and that the TALint program has contributed into making her, and I quote, "more prepared because I have a regular space to ask questions about anything in the library or profession which I don't understand. I have made more professional connections and I have knowledge of the library systems, all of which are being developed over time, resulting in an understanding of the bigger picture and deeper relationships." Now, related to providing the skills and attributes that promote employability, the NASIG core competencies also help our students develop a greater awareness of potential career paths. The competencies provide clarity and guidance related to the skills and qualifications that are needed to become an electronic resources librarian, and in a sense, the document provides a roadmap for how to develop the necessary skills. By using the competencies to formulate a semi-structured training plan, which they interact with on a regular basis, the students gain confidence in their work and what they have learned, and it helps them to see themselves develop as they progress towards professional roles. And this, we hope, will lead our students to make better informed decisions on study and ultimately on their career direction. Now, within the Metadata Technologies unit, our students have not only embraced the idea of using the core competencies to guide their work, they've also acknowledged that the competencies have helped them make sense of their career direction. In asking our students what they see as the greatest benefit of using the core competencies in training, Jordan states, and I quote, "I found the greatest benefit of using the core competencies to be a sense of direction professionally. While my experiences in school tend to be quite broad, the core competencies have given me a sense of focus on what skills and experiences are valuable in the workplace, as well as a way to talk about them in professional contexts." Our student Sarah also noted that the competencies are useful in supporting the goals of workplace integrated learning by making connections between school and work more apparent. She states, and I quote, "Using the core competencies helps me understand how my classes, work, and other activities fit together because I can see how different tasks and projects support the same core competencies." Now, going one step deeper than providing career clarification and promoting awareness of career options, workplace integrated learning opportunities such as the TALint program also play a role in the development of the student's professional identity. The core competencies can support the development of a sense of professional identity by providing a lens through which students learn, evaluate, and make sense of practice. Within the internship program, students make sense of the profession by observing, questioning, and interacting with librarians. And by conducting work in a professional environment, this helps students gain a clear understanding of professional standards, expectations, ethical values, and conduct. Additionally, the core competencies help students with things such as learning the language of the profession. I think we take it for granted, but as librarians, we speak a language that is full of acronyms and jargon, and that is not easily understandable by anyone outside of our profession. So by situating the students firmly within the workplace environment, they absorb this language and become members of the profession. Now, since the TALint program is a 2-year engagement with the students, this allows students to gain a very deep learning experience and gives them the necessary time that is needed to develop their professional identities. Gaining a sense of what it means to be a professional during their internship, we hope that this will encourage a much smoother transition from student to librarian as they enter the labor market. Now, when we asked our students how the TALint internship might impact their future job search, the answers we received clearly illustrated how their newfound knowledge about the profession has been internalized and will benefit them in their search for employment. Jordan noted that through the professional advice and mentorship that she's received throughout the internship, it has, and I quote, "taught me so much about hiring and professional expectations. I feel like I will ask better questions when I'm job searching and in interviews." Additionally, Jordan also remarked that by learning the language of the profession, she's in a good position to pursue a career in areas that are more technical in nature. And she states, "This position has helped me develop technical skills, an understanding of institutional organization, and an arsenal of acronyms that are used often in the profession, which are taken for granted, but will be especially useful as I pursue a career in the more technical aspects of librarianship." The final benefit of using the core competencies within the workplace integrated learning experience is that it promotes reflective practice and self-assessment. The core competencies provide students with a tool that helps them monitor their own learning and encourages them to act proactively rather than reactively. Both the core competencies as well as their individual learning agendas provide students with criteria to judge and assess what they have learned. It helps students identify gaps and set learning targets for areas that they still need to learn. And in addition to promoting self-assessment, the competency documents and learning agendas also help students to reflect on the learning process itself and identify the methods by which they learn best. Within our TALint program, students are encouraged to reflect in several ways. So they can use the online Wiki to keep a journal of their learning. They're encouraged to conduct presentations on topics that they've learned about, either in school or in the workplace. And we ensure that students have both scheduled and informal reflective conversations with supervisors and peers. By providing several opportunities for students to reflect on their experiences, this helps them gain an appreciation of their accomplishments and maximize learning from the experience. Now, when we asked our students if they believed that reflective practice was beneficial to their development, our students mentioned that having the ability to reflect on their workplace experience has enabled them to recognize their accomplishments and understand how the work relates to the bigger picture. Now, Sarah explained, and I quote, "I see reflection as crucial to developing as a professional. Reflection helps me see value in the work that I'm doing and recognize my accomplishments and areas of improvement, giving me the confidence to talk about who I am and what I can do. It has been especially rewarding to have time set aside at work to reflect on progress, interests, and goals with my supervisors and coworkers. We try to understand how our goals fit together and how our goals fit the goals of our library, which helps us connect with each other and plan work. This gives my work a greater sense of meaning and helps me take a more active role in our department." Jordan also noted that by writing a paragraph in the online Wiki every 3 months or so, it helps her reflect on her learning experience, and this helps her recognize her achievements and stick to her plans and goals. And she states, and I quote, "Regular reflection also keeps me from straying too far from my goals without realizing it, and also to realize what I have been achieving." Now, in the TALint program, reflection does not only happen amongst our students. We as supervisors constantly need to reflect on how we are doing as supervisors and as mentors. And as such, the NASIG core competencies helps us to keep on track and ensure that we're providing our students with projects and tasks that help promote their learning and professional development. So I can say with confidence that the benefits of using the core competencies have been felt by everyone within our unit. So now I'm going to pass it back over to Jen, who's going to wrap up our presentation by talking about what's next for the TALint program.
So far, we're very pleased with how our training plan based on the core competencies from NASIG is working out. And evidently, as Marlene just showed, the students are becoming more confident about their skill development and connectedness to the profession. In the coming months, we'll work to fine-tune the integration of the core competencies into all of our daily work, but we also have some new opportunities for further embedding workplace integrated learning. So firstly, we're very lucky to have another TALint student join our team this fall, who will be entering their first year at the iSchool. Since both Sarah and Jordan are entering their second year, and they'll be graduating next spring, adding a new member to our team now will ensure continuity of knowledge and tasks after Sarah and Jordan graduate. Sarah and Jordan will also be able to assist in training the new TALint student and provide peer guidance and mentorship as they embark on their own paths towards professional librarianship. We really hope that by establishing a built-in team support system, we can all feel supported and remain agile as we carry out our various roles and functions. To aid in training future students within our team, we have plans to develop a training toolkit, which we'll ask Sarah and Jordan to help build over the course of this summer. This toolkit will reside on our team's wiki pages and serve as an organized handbook for new students joining our team. The key modules within the toolkit will align with many of the key components of the competencies, hopefully making it easy for the students to check off training objectives and document these alongside the core competency wiki. The organized modules will contain training resources on the e-resource lifecycle, step-by-step training on performing various tasks in the systems and tools that we use, and other necessary information such as cataloging and bibliographic standards, a glossary of library-related acronyms, among other resources and training materials. Although we feel it's important to keep the students' reflective practice and the core competency wiki private, we also want to encourage Sarah and Jordan to put a public face on their accomplishments if they desire to. When out on the job hunt, there are other ways to share professional skills and achievements beyond your standard CV and cover letter, such as the use of an e-portfolio. By including a link on their application to an e-portfolio website, candidates can use their creative juices to showcase their professional identity by highlighting project outcomes, creating blog entries, and providing links to any articles and presentations that they've completed. Or if building a e-portfolio isn't their thing, the world of social media definitely has their backs to help establish an online professional identity. The use, of course, of Twitter, Orchid, and LinkedIn can all aid in sharing professional achievements and skills, as well as developing a professional identity. So while we feel confident that the approach we've taken for workplace integrated learning with the use of the core competencies is working quite well, it's important for us to take a step back and take a critical look at its success and find opportunities for adjustments along the way. Our students are doing a great job at documenting and reflecting upon their own achievements, and so Marlene and I must also take the time to periodically reflect on the process. When considering this venture, what can we do to measure its success? While certainly seeing the students successfully graduate and attain jobs is the ultimate goal, we'll need to impose a system of feedback loops so that we can assess and modify their learning along the way. Using the core competencies as a touchstone will be critical to identifying proficiencies and knowledge gaps that might require more attention, both as students reflect on their progress and as we evaluate and adjust their training. As far as we're aware, we're the only supervisors at the University of Toronto Libraries that have integrated a core competency schema into the TALint student training. We're very keen to share this success with our colleagues and encourage them to apply core competencies that are relevant to their own department or unit. Many core competency schemas exist within the profession, and they range in detail, so there are certainly opportunities for broad applicability throughout the library. Additionally, by applying core competencies to student training, supervisors themselves become more aware and attuned to the skills and trends within their specialization. It's true that workplace integrated learning extends to all of us as professionals as we strive to adapt and improve within a changeable information environment. It's also very important that we periodically reflect on the use and applicability of the core competencies when structuring our training program. Reflection is essential to the success of workplace integrated learning, and we will need to ensure that our strategy remains relevant in 3 key areas. First, we'll need to reflect on how it relates to the changing priorities of our unit and the library as a whole. We'll also need to reflect on how changes to the iSchool curriculum may affect what and how the students learn. And we'll also need to regularly review the core competency document to ensure that each year they're using the most current version as the competencies of e-resource librarians continue to evolve. It's through iterative reflection that we'll ensure each area integrates with the next in order to meet our current and future conditions. So finally, regardless of your workplace setting and whether you have opportunities to host students on an internship, a co-op, practicum placement, or some other part-time work arrangement, there are opportunities for you to incorporate workplace integrated learning and use core competencies in your own library. We suggest that you explore various options that might work for you. It might be employing the use of a wiki or a work journal for recording your own development, or perhaps condensing or revising the core competencies when hosting more short-term student placements. Or you could use the core competencies as a guide for training new staff and upskilling your team. With a variety of core competency documents out there, there are many opportunities to get creative and find a method of workplace integrated learning that's suitable for you. Through periodic iterative reflection, you may be able to find yourself and your team becoming more adaptable, open to change, and responsive to the dynamic evolution of technical services librarianship. So we'd like to thank you so much for your time today, and we'd like to extend a special thanks to Sarah and Jordan for your willingness to learn, enthusiasm to embrace new challenges, and your overall positive contribution to our team. So Marlene and I will now welcome any questions you may have. Thank you.
It's all clear. Yes.
I needed a stretch. Could you talk a little bit about the beginning of the program in terms of, like, was it an easy sell to the library administration, to the iSchool, you know, kind of like the foundation, laying the groundwork for the program to be as successful as it seems to be? Because sometimes the political equation is more important than everything else that you talk about.
Yeah, the genesis of the program actually, it came from our administration, and they engaged with some professors at the iSchool and with the dean, and together felt it was a sort of a win-win situation, not only for the students but also for us to have, you know, students that could do more and really contribute in a very meaningful way to the library. So it has been basically, it came from our administration, which is, you know, the best of both worlds. We also have been very fortunate in that the funding for, like, our whole university is also responsible for funding this program. It doesn't just come from the libraries itself, so we have very broad support from the whole university.
Are most of the iSchool students residential? That is, they physically are around campus. Many of our programs are online, and we don't see the students physically present to hire them for paying jobs.
Okay. Yeah, our iSchool, I don't believe they have an online option. Jordan would be able to confirm that, so no. So we don't have an online option. So, and also our iSchool is like physically connected to our library. So that alone provides a connectedness that that maybe other libraries just don't have. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, we're around all weekend long, so if you have anything, just come up to us and talk to us about it. We are super excited about this program. I find that it has actually changed me as a supervisor, and it makes me really appreciate, I appreciate our students, but just appreciate my role and my privilege to be able to offer these students this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.